welcome back to another episode of the Glow Up Guide. So my apologies for the fan sounds in the background. I don't know if you can hear them, but for some reason it's really hot outside and the windows were open, so now it's 82 degrees Fahrenheit in my room, which is concerning, and it's super hot, so I am not going to be surviving without that fan. So apologies if you hear those fan sounds in the background. I'm sorry about that, but anyway, in today's episode we'll be talking about one of my favorite topics, summer book recommendations. I love books, and I'm super excited for today's episode. I think I have about 6 or 7 books on here. I don't know. But before moving on, let's do one thing. My bad. Let's do our life updates first. Like podcast updates, life updates. My bad. Podcast updates. So last week, I didn't have a script. That's why I failed to publish last week. And then yesterday, I still didn't have a script. So that's why I didn't publish yesterday either. And that's why we're recording this episode on a Monday, a week or so, 2 weeks late. I don't even know. No, a week late. My bad. A week and a day late, guys. So, yeah, and then my Instagram is still suspended. It's on my summer bucket list, though. I swear to God, it'll be done this summer. So, yeah. And then life updates. So, actually, a lot happened since I recorded this episode. Since I recorded the last episode, sorry. Yeah, a lot happened. Okay, so, my pool trip for my camp, the day after I recorded the last episode, yeah, which was Thursday, the 27th. So my pool trip, it was actually pretty fun, but the weird thing is my so-called friends kept, leaving me, which was kind of weird, and I'm like, okay, cool. Gee, thanks. Anyway, so that wasn't great, but, other than that, the pool trip wasn't actually super bad. I'm not gonna lie. And then that Saturday, I had another extra volunteer shift at the local library, and it was a kids program with perler beads. If you've never heard of these before, you basically put them onto a little board and then you iron them and you make shapes and stuff. It was cool. So me and the other volunteers, we just had to iron them, and I talked to this one girl because we were not really needed until the very end, because people decided, because the kids took forever to make the actual perler thing. So that was fun. I burned myself with iron about 5 times, but the good thing is I learned how to use an iron. I learned how to use a mini crafting iron, so I'm super proud of myself for that. And I have no idea whether I mentioned it on this podcast before, but on the 29th, I actually got my butt up, and I got my parents' lazy butts up. And we actually booked our Great Wolf Lodge trip, because I think I mentioned this the general trip, but I don't think I've mentioned that we actually booked it. So we booked that trip, and we're going from July 27 through 29, and I'm just super excited because I love water parks, and this is the biggest location they've opened, so I'm so excited for this trip. So yay. And then moving on to last week. So last week is also, once again, I mentioned the week of June 28th to 29th, June 24th to 28th, my bad. And then the first week of July pretty much were the busiest weeks of my whole summer. So last week, my camp was, so basically on Sunday, my friend canceled on me for the mall, so that was a really boring day. But camp was actually not the worst. I made some actual friends in the middle of the first day, and after that, camp was actually really good. I actually like the camp, okay? I would not say this is a really good camp, but it was tolerable, at least, with my friends, and we actually made the most out of it. We had a good time. Yeah, and camp actually went by super fast, and even though I really necessarily didn't like this camp, I still feel I'm gonna miss it, because I don't know, even though it was only 8 days, and I didn't even stay the whole time, but no one stayed the whole time, but still, even though it was only 8 days, it was still I don't really know how to explain it, because yeah, so I was just kind of sad about that. The pool trip was good. My friends, new friends this time, they did not keep leaving me, so I'm grateful for that. And yeah, what else? So camp was good, and then the 4th of July. Oh wait, speaking of camp, okay, so funny story. So on the last day of camp, these people, they just came by and put up these bouncy houses from the Parks and Recreation Services. They just put up these bouncy houses, and we're okay. So we went on the bouncy houses, and then the counselors were just watching us, and me and my friends were just waiting because they said max capacity was 8, and a bunch of people got off, so we just went in bouncy houses, and then there's these guys there, right? And me and my friends are just in one half of the bouncy house, and all the other guys are tackling each other on the other side, and I'm okay, we're just gonna ignore that. And then one of the guys comes up to us, and then to me, he's just like, you know that guy over there? He likes you, by the way. And I'm like, okay, cool. Thanks for the information. And then the guy over there is just like flailing his arms everywhere, and he's just going like shh, and like just being a menace. And then like 30 seconds later, like all the guys just piled out of the bouncy house. I'm like, cool, yay! Now we have the whole bouncy house to ourselves. Like I did not care, bro. So that was fun. And anyway, so that was camp last week. And then the 4th of July. 4th of July, like the whole day was pretty much kind of meh. But in the evening, me and my family, we went to like this 4th of July concert / fireworks thing. The fireworks there were beautiful. I'm so happy we didn't go to DC because they were actually like really good. There were probably more people here than there were in DC because this is like this is one of the largest fireworks show like in our region. So there was also a concert there too, but we didn't really see much of the concert. And there were food trucks, but once again, we didn't go to the food trucks since the food was probably gonna be really expensive, and most of it was like non-vegetarian anyway. We couldn't eat it, so yeah. But the fireworks were like beautiful. I'm not even kidding. Like, and that was so fun. Let's see here. Yeah, that was pretty much the 4th of July, and then on the 5th, the only fun thing I did that day was like bake a chocolate cake. It was supposed to be a chocolate lava cake, but like the lava did not lava because I baked it too long, but it was still a really good chocolate cake. So yeah. Let's see, and then on the 6th. Okay, so the 6th was kind of a crazy day because basically on the 5th, one of my friends like texted all of us. She's like, "Hey, does anyone want to see a movie with me tomorrow?" And I asked my mom, and she's just like, "No, you're too young to see a movie with your friends." And then like the morning of the 6th, she's just like, "Oh, hey guys, so my mom said we can either just go see the movie today if you guys can't like do a sleepover, or she said we can have a sleepover and then see the first movie tomorrow." And my mom's just like, "Oh, it's a sleepover. That's nice. You can go." And like my group chat was blowing up, and then I'm just like to my mom, "Oh yeah, not to get confused, but like everyone said, my friend said we could have like a sleepover, so yeah, that's what they're all texting about." And she's like, "Oh, okay, wait, you should go." And I'm like, "No, because they're still going to the movies." And she's like, "You should still go, and because you haven't seen these friends since like school ended." And I'm like, "Yeah, true." I was about to ask you if I could go anyway because I haven't seen these friends since school ended. So yeah, only like two of my friends came though. My one friend that was like that invited us, and then one of my other friends. And then with me, so that's it. But like still, I haven't seen these people since like the day after the last day of school for one of my friend's birthday parties, but like it's been a long time, okay? So yeah, my mom actually let me go, so that was so fun. And we went to like the 8:40 p.m. showing, so there was like no people there. There were like hardly 15 people there in like the whole ass theater. So that was fun. We watched Despicable Me 4, and the last line of that movie, if you haven't seen it, they go strudels in like a really funny voice. And my friend goes to me like after the movie, she's just like, I think that's like the best line in the whole movie, strudels. And we just keep doing that to each other like the whole time. We're all like strudels, and it's like so fun. But yeah, it was a good time. And we went to bed at like 1, concerningly, because like I had a really bad headache. I just fell asleep, and then my other two friends were just like, "Now we're not staying up. We're just gonna go to sleep." And then one of my friends just left at 9 in the morning, like really quietly. I was awake, so she's just like, "Okay, I'm leaving." And then I left at like 11:30. So that was fun, but it was a good time. We had a fun time. And then, oh yeah, the same day. So basically, I double booked myself because my mom said I couldn't go to the movies that day, and I was just like, okay, cool. So I invited my other friend over because she was supposed to come over on Friday, but she didn't because she didn't have a ride. And my dad said, okay, I'll drive. I'll come, and we can like pick her up and drop her off. And he's just like, never mind, I can't come today. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I just canceled on my friend, and she was just like, oh my gosh, I actually found that I can't go either because my mom was just like, no. So yeah. So what else? Yeah, so she came over on Saturday instead from like 2 to 6, and as soon as she left, I had to like mad dash pack because my mom was like, "Well, you shouldn't ditch her for like your other friends because that won't be good." And I was just like, "Well, why can't it just be like my relatives came over or something?" And my mom was just like, "No, no, no, that's unnecessary." And I'm like, "Seriously, mom?" So I mean, I was kind of annoyed, but we had fun. Okay, so I'm not gonna complain. So I hung out with her, and then I mad dash packed in like 10 minutes, and then I showered in like another 3 minutes, and then I left my house at like 6:30. My friends were just like, "You finally came after like 400 text messages." I'm like, "How many times did you guys text me? I literally did not see it." Okay, I double booked myself, and then I explained the whole mess, and they were like, "Oh, that makes sense." And I'm like, "Yeah, gee, thanks." But yeah, that was fun. Me and my friend, we basically started throwing pillows at each other, and she's like, "We should build a pillow fort." And then I'm like, "You know what else we should do? We should build a blanket fort instead." And she's like, "Okay, cool." So we built a blanket fort, and then we called some of our other friends because we were just like, I don't even know what we were doing. We were like tapping each other at that point, so we just called some of our other friends. We recorded some random videos, And then we watched a Christmas movie because we searched up the movie yesterday, like yesterday full movie recording on YouTube, and nothing came up. So we decided, and the Christmas Project movie came up. That movie is just full of shit. Okay, like this, I don't even know what the story there is. Like you can't tell the plot, and like there's no main events that actually build the story in that movie. And also their acting is absolutely crap, and like it's just a really bad movie. I don't even know why we watched it. But we spent an hour and a half watching that movie, and yeah, that was fun. And then we just talked about random stuff until she had to leave. But like it was a good time, so I'm not complaining. And then 6th morning also, there was like the Home Depot. It's like a hardware store. For those of y'all who live in the United States. But yeah, and they do like these kids workshops for free. And my brother likes to go to those, and my dad just like my parents just like you should go, and I get forced to go. So I just like build the stuff because why not? And also sometimes it's like planters, and my mom will just use the planters, so like why not, you know? But yeah, we went there. Good times. And then after that, my brother had a class, and there's like a boba place next to where his class is. And my dad was like, "Do you want to go?" Because he's like, "You're already gonna go with your friend like next Wednesday or whatever." Because I am going with my friend to the same boba place this Wednesday. Because why not? And he's like, "You should try it." And I'm like, "I did. It was so sweet. I have a headache from like all that sugar, and like lack of water and lack of sleep, and like it's a whole mess. Like I just have a headache, and plus like my period, because I got my period on the 6th, like that morning. So yeah, that was fun. But yeah, I just have a headache from like 500 different things. But I tried boba for the first time, and the first one, we got full sweet. Literally, the whole thing was sugar. I'm not even kidding. And I told this to one of my friends, and she's like, "Ooh, why'd you get full sweet?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I've never tried boba in my life." And she's like, "I always get like 25% sweet." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm doing that. Why not? We go to boba because like this is the same friend I'm going with on Wednesday." And so yeah, and then we got one with 50% sweet, still way too sweet. So when I go with my friend, as I mentioned, I'm gonna get 25% sweet and see how that works. Because like I've built myself up to have a sensitivity to sugar because like when I like basically cut out sugar, that stuff. So yeah, that's why. And yeah, it was a good time. And then I was supposed to have a dentist appointment and get my Invisalign today. But you want to know what happened? The insurance thing, I don't even know what happened with it, but my dad's like, okay, we need to get like some pre-approval or something. We were not notified of this, and I was just like notified from your orthodontist that we have to get some stupid pre-approval, and I'm like, what the flip? So there was a stupid pre-approval, and of course my dentist appointment got canceled today because we need to have that pre-approval from our insurance company before the appointment. It doesn't make any sense to me. My dad doesn't really know what's happening either, but like, so stupid. And I'm like, you're kidding me right now. I was so excited to finally get my Invisalign and just like stop having to use my normal retainers because like my normal retainers are really annoying. So I was so excited because after so long, I'm actually like getting something done on my teeth, and now I'm just so mad because now it's gonna be a whole ton of procrastinating and all of this and all of that. So I'm just like so mad. And then on the 5th, I was really bored, so I just took out like a 300-piece jigsaw puzzle and aggressively finished it. That was great. I did finish the puzzle. It's like a Christmas puzzle though, and it was really easy. It took me like just a couple of hours, maybe like 4 hours. I don't know. So yeah, and then yeah, that's pretty much a summary of last week for y'all. So that's nice. Yeah, that's basically it from the last week. So that was a really long. That was. I feel like I was talking way too fast, but that was like a long recap of my week. I don't really know what to call it, yeah, but yeah. So anyway, let's do one thing we're grateful for plus one thing we're happy about this week, as well as our book of the week. So one thing I'm grateful for is the fact that it's gonna rain like tomorrow and then for the next 5 days because we need rain. It has been concerningly hot for like 2 weeks straight with no rain. There was one day where it rained for like 15 minutes, but like literally no rain, and we need rain to like cool this down. So yeah. I'm super grateful that it's gonna rain. And then one thing I'm happy about, I don't know. Probably the fact that I'm getting boba with my friend on Wednesday. Yeah, probably that. And then, oh yeah, I also ate cookies earlier today, so I ate some cookies. That's also why I'm happy. And then our book of the week is it's over here. Hold on. Finding Balance by Katie Gardner. So it's about this girl who had cancer and she had to get like her whole leg amputated. So now she hasn't been able to hide that, and it's basically like a part of her, and people make fun of her for it, but she doesn't care. Like she's just one of those girls. She's just like, I don't care. Y'all can think what you want. I'ma be me. So yeah. And then there's Jace, who had leukemia when he was like 3, but he chooses to hide that because he was basically traumatized by that in middle school because people would always like make fun of him for it and act like it was a part of him when it really wasn't, because that was so long ago. And yeah, cancer isn't a part of his life anymore. Like, he refuses to care about it. He refuses to care about it. His dad refuses to care about it. But his mom constantly freaks out. Like, the first sign of a cough or cold is a sign of his leukemia coming back. So yeah, and these two, Jace and Marie is the girl's name. They attend a chemotherapy camp in the summer. It's for people with cancer and cancer survivors. Yeah, so this is how they know each other. And Jace wants to just like move on to never reveal his past, but like Marie, she transfers to his school because her school is just saying because of an incident that happened, and they're just like she has to get like a wheelchair or a prosthetic or something like that, and she just like, hell no, I ain't doing that. So she ends up having to switch schools. And once Marie transfers to his school, he knows that she could very easily blow his cover because that's the last thing he wants. But he also can't like ignore the way he's attracted to her. And it's basically like both of these kids, like, how do you move on from cancer when the world won't let you? How do you move on from general like traumatizing things when the world won't let you? It's a really good book, and it's a romance novel, but yeah, it's a really good book. I think y'all should read it. Yeah, that's a almost 18-minute long introduction slash recap thing. Anyway, so moving along, the first book that I have for you guys is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I think that's how you say her last name. I don't really know, but it's such a good summer read. Like, I'm not even kidding. Honestly, if I had to capsule the season of summer in a book, it'd be Malibu Rising. I think I read it in a day. Honestly, it's so good. This book is centered around the 4 Reba siblings and their plans to throw an epic end of summer party. But what they don't know is, over the course of 24 hours, their lives will change completely. It takes place in Malibu during August 1973. Jesus. So Nina, she's like the surfer supermodel, and then there's the brothers Jay and Hud, the championship surfer and a famous photographer, and then there's Kit, the beloved baby sister. The sole person who isn't so hyped about this party is Nina herself, who all she wanted was to disappear and blend in. Be a plain coffee instead of a fancy latte. She was also well-knownly abandoned by her professional tennis player husband. Possibly Hud too, because it's long overdue for him to tell his brother, who has been as close as the dye in colored water since birth, a secret that could ruin everything for both of them. Looking at the other side, Jay is excitedly ticking down the minutes until the night comes, when the girl, who has been his whole brain, has promised to come. And even Baby Kit has some mega secrets of her own, one including a certain guest she invited without any consultation, my bad. By midnight, this party will have gone spiraling down to hell, and by morning, the Riva mansion will end in flames and smoke. But leading up to that sparkling time before dawn, alcohol pours, music is endless, and the love and secrets that shaped this family's generation will come burning them back. Malibu Rising is the story of one historic night in the Riva family, and is also the night they choose what stays of the very souls who made them, and what is lost. So, backcover summary is legit unnecessary in this case because, like, I got my point across and it's, like, not needed. But if you're interested in other books by Taylor Jenkins Reid, she's an amazing author. I've read Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, also a really good book, love it. Malibu Rising is gorgeous. Definitely think you should read it. But don't recommend for under 16 years old because there is some concerning stuff in here, so watch out for that. Number 2, Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. Amazing book. Plus, I love the author. When Persephone Fraser's I can't speak today. Anyway, when Persephone Fraser's parents made the choice to buy a lake house in Barry's Bay for the summers, but she never expected to meet Sam and the Floricks. Sam makes her feel happy and listens to, and who becomes a neighbor to her very best friend. One of those glorious summers, through working at their mom's restaurant, through the Floricks' restaurant, and being with Sam and his older brother Charlie, they grow into so much more. Over the course of 5 summers, they go from neighbors to friends to being each other's whole lives. then weird and tight and total strangers, and then just dead. But their electrifying love is unlike any other, refusing to let go, even all those years later. But one tiny misunderstanding and just one huge mistake ruined all of it. Now, about a decade later, Percy has never loved anyone close to the way she loves Sam. She still holds on to what she did all that time ago. But when Sam's mother's death put Percy back in the one place with the people she thought she would never see again, she's welcomed with open arms, surprisingly. Percy and Sam together after this long feels so odd, just so right. Their connection is still there, and it's pulling stronger than ever, besides the hurt and tears and the mistakes lingering. Going from friends to something more again is a scary time for both of them, and reopening that spot in their hearts once again is both gut-wrenching and freeing. But when the possibility is returning to becoming each other's family again, isn't it worth the pain that could come along with it? So this book is honestly amazing, and the author writes in a way where you can really visualize this story playing out, these conversations happening, and all of this, just all these events happening. Also truly takes the essence of summer and encapsulates it in a book. Okay, so now for the cover summary or whatever you want to call it. It's actually called the publisher's synopsis, whatever, but I call it the back cover summary. So, anyway. Start quote. They say you can never go home again, and for Percival Fraser, ever since she made the biggest mistake of her life a decade ago, that has felt too true. Instead of spending glittering summers on the lakeshore of her childhood, she stays home in a stylish apartment in the city, keeping everyone a safe distance from her heart. Until she receives the call that sends her racing back to Barry's Bay and into the orbit of Sam Floor, the man she thought she'd never have to live without. For 6 summers, through lazy afternoons on the water to warm summer nights working in his family's restaurant, Percy and Sam had been inseparable. Eventually, that friendship turned into something more, before it fell spectacularly apart. When Percy returns to the lake for Sam's mother's funeral, their connection is as undeniable as it has always been. But until Percy can confront the decisions she made, they'll never know whether their love is bigger than the biggest mistakes of their past. End quote. Must read this summer. This book is absolutely amazing, and it's all over Book Talk and Pinterest, and that's what motivated me to read it. But not just because of that. I can genuinely say that this is an amazing book, and I genuinely think that you guys should read it. I definitely rate it 5 out of 5 stars. Number 3, People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is the only book I have read by this author, but if all her books are like this one, I guess I need to read more of them. This is friends to lovers, second chance typey book, which I also love. This book has an alternating timeline, which I love as it gives more insight into the characters, but some hate is on that because some people don't like the alternating timelines in a lot of stories. I think it adds more depth to the story, and you can really see, because if it's a second chance thing, it's usually something, at least in the books I've read, it's usually something from something a long time ago, and then a timeline from the present. So that just gives you more understanding as opposed to just one timeline from the present or the past, because that just doesn't really make sense to me. But yeah, in this case, that timeline helps you understand the story of Poppy, who is travel-obsessed writer in New York City, and Alex, who is a straight-laced teacher in Ohio. This book is told over the course of 10 summer trips. In the present-day timeline, it explains that Poppy and Alex had a huge falling out on their final trip 2 years ago to somewhere. I don't remember. But not why. I read this book in a day. It is so good. Alex is lured back into Poppy's life once again with the promise of one final vacation to see if the two of them can stitch their mess back together after their not-so-pretty final trip to Croatia. That's where it was. Anyway, Poppy is really hoping a week-long adventure to Palm Springs refreshes both their friendship and her travel writing, since Poppy's been stuck lately. Alex agrees, and off they go on a mission, whilst encountering broken AC, sad tourist traps, and an Airbnb sent straight from hell, perfect for them, before promising to meet Alex or his brother, who's getting married near the end of their trip. Really and truly love this book. It's amazing. That's all I can say. So now for the cover summary. Poppy and Alex. Alex and Poppy. They have nothing in common. She's a wild child, he wears khakis. She has insatiable wanderlust, he prefers to stay at home with the book. And somehow, ever since a fateful car share home from college many years ago, they are the very best of friends, for most of the year. They live far apart. She's in New York City, and he's in a small hometown in Ohio. But every summer for a decade, they've taken one glorious week of vacation together. Until 2 years ago, when they ruined everything. They haven't spoken since. Poppy has everything she should want, but she's stuck in a rut. When someone asks her when she was last truly happy, she knows without a single doubt it was on that ill-fated final trip with Alex. And so she decides to convince her best friend to take one more vacation together. Lay everything on the table, make it all right. Miraculously, he agrees. Now, she's a week to fix everything. If only she can get around the one big truth that has always stood quietly in the middle of their seemingly perfect relationship. What could possibly go wrong? Another must read. I can't put it in any other words. Must read. 4. It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. It Happened One Summer starts with Piper Bellinger getting dumped. Piper is the it girl of LA. So in order to protect her reputation, Piper throws one heck of a party, which may have involved breaking into a hotel pool. Unfortunate for her, the hotel is owned by one of the financial backers of her stepfather's movies. To teach Piper a lesson, said stepfather's father, Jesus, ships her off to Westport. Her younger sister Hannah is her ride or die, so she joins Piper too in the journey to Westport to work in the bar owned by their dead father. With Hannah in tow, Piper takes Westport by storm and learns to stand on her own 2 feet. She catches the eye of Captain Brendan Taggart. At first, it's slightly evil between them, but Piper, with a bit of her Piper sparkle, wins Brendan over purely by being herself. But towards the end, she must make the decision to stay in Westport with this town and these memories and Brendan, or return back to LA and continue being a party girl. Once again, don't recommend for those under 16, y'all. Anywho, for the backcomers effort, Tessa Bailey is back with a Schitt's Creek, I don't know how to say it, inspired rom-com about a Hollywood it girl who's cut off from her family and exiled to a small Pacific Northwest beach town, where she butts heads with the surly, sexy local who thinks she doesn't belong. Piper Bellinger is fashionable, influential, and her reputation as a wild child means the paparazzi are constantly on her heels. When too much champagne and an out-of-control rooftop party lands Piper in the slammer, her stepfather decides enough is enough. So he cuts her off, then ships Piper and her sister off to learn some responsibility running their late father's dive bar in Washington. Piper hasn't even been in Westport for 5 minutes when she meets big bearded sea captain Brendan Taggart, who thinks she won't last a week outside Beverly Hills. So what if Piper can't do math, and the idea of sleeping in a shabby apartment with bunk beds gives her hives? She's determined to show her stepfather and the hot grumpy local that she's more than a pretty face. Except it's a small town, and everywhere she turns she runs into Brendan. The fun-loving socialite and the gruff fisherman are polar opposites, but there's an undeniable attraction simmering between them. Piper doesn't want any distractions, especially feelings for a man who sails off into the sunset for weeks at a time. Yet, as she reconnects with her past and begins to feel at home in Westport, Piper starts to wonder if the cold, glamorous life she knew is what she truly wants. LA is calling her name, but Brendan, in this town full of memories, may have already caught her heart. Must read. Once again, no words, just must read. Not 15. Number 5. Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. This is the sequel of It Happened One Summer, and I love it. Hook, Line, and Sinker follows Fox Thornton, who has a reputation as a player boy who's hard to shake. Everyone in the town says he won't keep a woman for more than a night, let alone settle down with one for the rest of his life. That's how it's been for him since high school. When his best friend Hannah Bellinger comes back to Westport as part of the production for a film for work, Fox's usual routine of going out and hooking up on the few nights he's home is put on pause as circumstances lead Hannah to stay in Fox's guest bedroom instead of Piper's place. Hannah, with a helpless crush on her colleague, needs someone to help her actually get the guy, and thinks Fox would be the perfect person to help her. But the more time the two spend together living in tight quarters, the more the boundaries blur and fade. Then, out of nowhere, Hannah starts to wonder if her crush on her colleague would ever really mattered. Was it ever real? Does it really matter? What was that, just like a distraction, a crutch for her to rely on? Maybe her true love is just a room away. But Fox is weighed down with self-doubt and his not-so-ignorable reputation. Maybe their loads could become lighter with someone else helping them carry it. What I also really love about this book is the personal growth of both Hannah and Fox. Both characters think they're not good enough to be the leads in their own lives and feel like they only exist to hype up others. Hannah has always felt like she was just shadowing her sister, watching and admiring and supporting her from afar instead of doing what she truly wants with her own life. Throughout the book, she starts taking some risks to make the most of her life. But she faces those small obstacles, but she really blossoms through her friendship with Fox. He really makes an impact on her. She goes on to realize that a lot of things about herself, her really stupid crush, and what it means to be the main character. On the other side, Fox also grew a lot. I just choked on air my as a character. Fox has like really bad imposter syndrome, and it shows. His reputation and what everyone thinks of him affects his actions so much. It's like all he exists for is to be shaped by others and their opinions, not what he truly wants for himself. Fox believes all he's good for is a good hookup, because that's the impression he gives off, and it's what people have literally told him to his face, that he's not dating or boyfriend material. The way Fox would laugh, smile, and walk off when these jokes landed on him like broken glass is also really sad. He shows it in a lot of ways throughout the story too. His reluctance to take on a leading role for work, the way people look at him when he's with Hannah, and also how he reacts when Hannah shows him how he's worth so much more than he thinks. So this is truly an amazing book, and like a lot of growth too, which I really love. Now for the back cover summary. King crab fisherman Fox Thornton has a reputation as a sexy, carefree flirt. Jesus. Everyone knows he's a guaranteed good time, in bed and out. And that's exactly how he prefers it, until he meets Hannah Bellinger. She's immune to his charm and looks, but she also seems to enjoy his personality and wants to be friends. Bizarre. But he likes her too much to risk a fling, so platonic pals it is. Now, Hannah's in town for work, crashing in Fox's spare bedroom. She knows he's a notorious ladies' man, but they're definitely just friends. In fact, she's nursing a hopeless crush on her colleague. Fox is just the person to help her with her lackluster love life. Armed with a few tips from Fox, Westport's resident Casanova, Hannah sets out to catch her coworker's eye. Yet the more time she spends with Fox, the more she wants him instead. As the lines between friendship and flirtation begin to blur, Hannah can't deny everything she loves about Fox, but she refuses to be another notch on his bedpost. Living with his best friend should have been easy. Except now, she's walking around in a towel, sleeping right across the hall, and Fox is fantasizing about waking up next to her for the rest of his life. And man overboard! He's fallen for her hook, line, and sinker. Helping her flirt with another guy is pure torture. But maybe if Fox can tackle his inner demons and show Hannah that he's all in, she'll choose him instead. Number 6, Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. This is like an instant love second chance story, and I loved it. Most people might not like the instant love part, but I thought it was what like kind of the highlight of the story. That's what like sets it apart, you know, because it's unique. Because not a lot of authors choose to follow like an instant love romance story. Because like I've read a dumb ton of romance novels, and I can confidently say that. So Will Baxter just so happens to be working on a mural when Fern Brookbanks walked into that coffee shop where she works, never expecting to meet her soulmate. They start talking, and they form an instant bond. That bond quickly turns into a day-long adventure through Toronto. Hardly one day. Yet that's all it took to discover the bond they had. Timing wasn't great, but they had that connection that they just couldn't deny. Too big to ignore. Their day comes to an end with a promise to meet up a year later. Fern showed up. Will didn't. 10 years pass, and Fern's life doesn't look at all like how she imagined it would back then, when she was fresh out of college and possibility lived in every corner she turned. Instead of being in the city, Fern's at home working at her mom's resort in Muskoka, which she swore never to do. The place is an absolute disaster. Her ex is the manager, and Fern is clueless, completely clueless. But what her life needs is a recipe, a step-by-step plan. She's shocked when it comes in the form of Will, just about 9 years late, lugging a suitcase and offering to help. Will very well might be the only person who gets what's happening at Fern, but she doesn't know how to trust a guy who's arrived 9 years late. He's changed from who he was all those years ago, but that was expected. Fern's not so sure if she wants to know what he's hiding, though. Once again, love this book and this author. I still liked Every Summer After better, though, but still, this book is a must-read. Now, for the back cover summary. Fern Brookbanks has wasted too much of her adult life thinking about Will Baxter. She just spent 24 hours in her early 20s with the aggravatingly attractive, idealistic artist, a chance encounter that spiraled into a day-long adventure throughout Toronto. Their timing was wrong, but their connection was undeniable. They shared every secret, every dream, and made a pact to meet 1 year later. Fern shut up. Will didn't. At 32, Fern's life doesn't look anything like she imagined it would. Instead of living in the city, Fern's back home running her mother's Muskoka lakeside resort, something she vowed never to do. The place is in disarray, her ex-boyfriend is the manager, and Fern doesn't know where to begin. She needs a plan, a lifeline, and to her surprise, it comes in the form of Will, with a suitcase in tow and an offer to help on his lips. Will might be the only person who understands what Fern is going through. But how can Fern possibly trust this expensive suit-wearing mirage who seemed nothing like the young man she met all those years ago? Will is hiding something, and Fern's not so sure she wants to know what it is. But 10 years ago, Will Baxter rescued Fern. Can she do the same for him? So those were all the summer book recommendations I had for you guys today. Hope you read them and love them as much as I did. And if you don't, well, big fat review. Now to end our episode today, I have a quote for you guys from Tove Jansson. I hope that's how you say this person's name. It goes, "One summer morning at sunrise, a long time ago, I met a little girl with a book under her arm. I asked her why she was out so early, and she answered that there were too many books and far too little time. And she was absolutely right. Bye, guys. Rate, review, follow, and share this podcast. Drink some water, and I love you all.